Alright boys, welcome back to another video. Knicks Daily here. Today we're going to be talking about a problem for the New York Knicks. And I've been saying this for months now. The center position just simply isn't good enough. You have to understand that injuries exist. I mean, Knicks fans, we know better than anyone. The reason why we lost in the playoffs was because the team wasn't healthy. And one of the players that wasn't out there for us, that wasn't available, is Mitchell Robinson. And things as of right now aren't looking too great. The report on Robinson is, quote, Mitchell Robinson is also rehabbing a surgically repaired injury this offseason. Robinson had surgery in mid-May to repair a stress injury to his left ankle. As of earlier this week, Robinson had not yet been cleared for high-intensity weight-bearing activities during his rehab. Per people familiar with the matter, Robinson has to clear several hurdles before he gets clearance to fully participate in training camp. End quote. And this is coming from Ian Begley, who reports for the Knicks, of course, and the Nets. Overall, I just don't see a world where Mitch is able to play more than 70 games for us. He's only done it once in his career. I mean, 6 years, guys, one time. It's not great. It's a pretty large sample size as well. The backup for Mitch is right now Precious Achiuwa. Yes, we drafted Hook Porty, but he's not going to be a guy that's going to step in for Coach Thibodeau, who doesn't like to develop young players. The only way Tibbs is going to play a rookie is if they're so good to where he's forced to play them. So like Emmanuel Quickly, for example, but even back then, Alec Burks was playing more than Quickly, right? Like, what are we exactly trying to do here? Because Achiuwa, if you guys watched him last season, yes, there were certain matchups where at the 5 he was at his best, but it looked like for the majority of the time when he was at the 4, that's where he belonged. He's a guy who should be a backup for to Julius Randle, an emergency center. I get, but there's too many teams where Achiuwa, the team's just not going to look great with him at the 5, and he's even going to be unplayable, which is why Jericho Sims is someone who is going to have to step up and have a big year, because the Knicks are not going to be able to make a trade for a backup center for 2 reasons. For one, we don't have any draft picks, or at least we don't have any valuable draft picks, because we have first round picks that are more than likely going to convey to seconds. So we're not going to be able to trade for like Walker Kessler, for example, or Duran. Like, it's just not going to happen. And 2, teams are using leverage against the Knicks. They're making us overpay for one of their players just because they know we need a backup center. That's why the Knicks haven't made a trade. And certainly we're not going to go out there and get Clint Capella. We're not going to get Nikola Vucevic, a guy like that. I just don't really see a world, because you'd have to give up Mitch and you'd have to give up another player. Mitch doesn't make too much money, so if we do trade for someone like that, we'd have to pair Mitch and another player, and to that point, we're overpaying, because we'd have to put in some sort of draft capital as well to do that. I preferably would want Clint Capella, but again, there's just not a world where that's going to happen, man. Or if there was a world, well, it's very unrealistic. It's like a 1% chance. So I think right now, what we're exactly going to be relying on is Precious to play a lot of the 5, probably like 15 to 25 games next season. Precious is going to play the 5. Jericho Sims, hopefully he takes the next leap. He has been in the gym working on his overall game, post moves, his jump shot. Defense is something that Sims is going to have to work on. Statistically speaking, last year, he was one of the worst defensive players in all of basketball. Now, on the other side of that, he was statistically one of the best offensive players. And it's not necessarily his individual skill set, it's how the offense played when he was on the court. And that makes sense, because Sims can rebound the ball. He's got a 45-inch vertical, and he can dunk the basketball, right? So when you're driving, all of a sudden, you can either throw a lob up to Sims, or you can just go up for the shot, and he's going to clean it up. So the offense was extremely efficient, but defensively, Sims is not a good defender. He's not a good weak side defender as well. I know a lot of people think he is just because of his vertical and his athleticism, and I guess you could make the argument that his perimeter defense is pretty good, but overall, he's just not a great defender. And that's something that the Knicks, Coach Tibb, prioritizes over anything at the 5, is can you rebound and can you defend? Isaiah Hartenstein came to the Knicks. He was a guy who liked to shoot the 3 ball. He liked to shoot jump shots. And now all of a sudden he's into more of a traditional role with the Knicks. And that's a large reason why he left us. If Tibbs had let him open up his game and do more, there's a pretty good chance that he would have stayed. I still think he would have left, but I think it would have been very, very close. But there was no way we were going to get Hartenstein to take a pay cut when he's getting a bag from OKC, and they're going to let him expand his game and just do more out there on the offensive side of the ball. And we are going to miss Hartenstein, right? I mean, I would take him over Robinson. I know I've been saying this for months, for a long time. ever since he became the starters, we just look like a better team with him out there. Now, obviously, yes, a healthy Mitchell Robinson is better than Isaiah Hartenstein. This is a guy who's going to lead the league in offensive rebounds. He's going to block 2.5 shots a game. He can defend Joel Embiid. How many guys in the world can defend Joel Embiid one-on-one? There's not very many. Mitchell Robinson is one of them. In game one, Embiid was doing nothing. I mean, he was extremely inefficient, couldn't get anything going, was complaining about not getting calls, his three ball was getting blocked. I mean, Mitch was making it a living hell on Embiid. But the fact that the Knicks were winning games with Hartenstein, he was available, he can pass, he can screen, the offense opens up, it expands more with him out there. There is more that I like out of Hartenstein than even a healthy Robinson, but the biggest thing is just durability, right? If the Knicks do not win the championship next year, I don't think it's going to be because of lack of talent. I think it's going to be because of injuries. The same thing as last season. If we were fully healthy, we would have taken the Celtics to 6 or 7 games with a chance to beat them. I would say more of like a puncher's chance, just because the Celtics, I mean, they were legit, guys. They won, like 64 games, and they were, I mean, I don't know. I don't like the Celtics, so it's hard for me to praise them, but they were a great team. I'm not going to lie to you. The main thing about us going up against Boston is Julius Randle. I think there's a chance that he can be the best player on the floor in that series, and Jalen Brunson, of course, overall is the best player, at least in my opinion, from a biased Knicks fan. I mean, last season, I don't think it's even debatable. Brunson had a better year than Tatum, especially because Tatum had the moats around him. I mean, Tatum can score. Tatum can shoot 10 of 27, and his team will still win by double digits. Jalen Brunson shoots like that. Good luck, man. The Knicks are absolutely screwed. So that's a big thing. And Brunson's a smaller guard. I mean, Jalen Brunson's 6'2". He likes to say he's 6'3" because he's like, I wear shoes when I'm out there, but he's like, whatever, you know. I'm going to go check out the Roommates show, of course, with Brunson and Hart. But I just think the reason why the Knicks are going to have a huge season is because of the chemistry. It just seems like these guys were born to play together. And they went to college. And, of course, just having Mitch eventually get out there and Julius Randle is going to be big. But the Knicks bench is going to be huge for us. I mean, this is a bench that has Josh Hart on it, Dante DiVincenzo, Miles McBride, Precious Achiuwa, and then Cam Payne is definitely a very serviceable backup point guard. I love this roster. I love the direction we're headed, and I think we're going to do big things. It's just wild to me, guys, to think that Jalen Brunson came over in free agency and ended up completely transforming this team. I was a little bit skeptical about it just because I didn't know too much about Brunson. He was a smaller guard, but the fact this dude became a top 5 player and elevated his game in the playoffs, I mean, if Brunson leads the Knicks to a championship, to me, he's going to go down as one of the best points to ever do it. And I'm not saying he's Steph Curry or Magic Johnson or anything like that, but in terms of, I mean, man, he's just going to be a legend. Do it with the Knicks to completely change around this franchise. And Allen Iverson's seen as one of the all-time greats. Now, Jalen Brunson, that playoff run he had was better than any playoff run that Iverson had. I mean, the one that we went to the finals, I guess, was like more legendary just because he went to the finals and he dropped 50 in a game. But again, the Knicks, when they're healthy, Brunson, he plays like he did last playoffs, last season, and then all of a sudden now he's got a second option at Randle. He's got Mikal Bridges to help defensively. OG's healthy. That's another thing, is I keep talking about the health of Mitch. What about the health of OG? He's never been able to stay healthy in his career. So we're relying on guys to be available, and that's going to be a very critical thing for Coach Tibb, is to have backups, to have guys that can go out there and can play minutes. There's no reason that Julius Randle should be playing 38 minutes is kind of crazy, but there's no reason he should be playing like 35, 36 minutes a game. I mean, really, I don't think anybody should be playing that. We want to make sure our guys are fresh, and I get that, yeah, sure, the more we have our starters out there, the better we're going to be, but I'd rather be a lower seed going into the playoffs and be healthy than, okay, we're the 2 seed, we're the 1 seed, but we're injured, right? So, yeah, that's where I'm at. Seed does matter. Seed definitely does matter, but health matters more, right? That's what it comes down to. I mean, the Knicks and the Sixers, 2 versus 7 seed, and it was pretty competitive series. If Josh Hart doesn't knock down that 3 ball in Game 6, who knows what happens, right? So, but yeah, that's all I got for you boys. Have a great rest of your weekend. This is Knicks Daily.